And then the thing that I have noticed though about kids through the years is boys have boobs and beer bellies without drinking beer.
Yeah.
Right?
We
And
talk about this all the time.
Yep.
and I'm like, dude, I tell these kids, I go, when you're a teenager, I don't need you ripped, especially if you're like a lineman on the football team, but I should be able to see your abs. And like, if you're an athlete and can't do push-ups, that is a liability.
If
Like,
you're a human and can't do push-ups, that's a liability.
I'm with you on that. Like, why would you think? I always tell them, I'm like, what's gonna happen when the zombies attack? I'm like, you're dead. How do you get? I spoke to my buddy.
Zombie apocalypse.
He goes, how do you get off the ground if you can't do a push-up? Like if you're a lacrosse player, football player, you get hit. How do you get? I was like, whoa, that's actually, James the Thinker Smith 20 years ago at a seminar was like, he's like, American kids that can't squat. He's like, think about this. That means you can't sit on the toilet.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
So 60% of the world does not have plumbing. 60% of the world squats to shit.
Dude,
you would fail in Japan. You would fail. Like you're literally shitting in a hole.
Yesterday I saw while my daughter had the county tournament in tennis, there was a dad, and I think they were Chinese. He was sitting in the squat while his daughter played for like 30 minutes. Yeah. And I was like, of course, I'm so like, your coaching, brain's going, I'm like, I can't believe he's still in a deep squat. His like ankles are perfect.
Oh, the Asian squat.
Just chilling out.
It's a part of their life, but they lose it. It's not genetic. So one thing we found from the Asian culture is once they came to America, they got fat. Everybody, at the beginning, I think it was in the 70s or 80s, they started studying like, my God, why is their obesity rate so low? And then we find that once they move here after one generation, they're just as fat as we are. Like it wasn't genetic. It's because all they eat is fish and rice. Yeah, like they eat a very clean diet until
rice, lettuce. Our food in America is so it's like poison. I don't want to call it, the junk food, like Sal Alosi says, he doesn't even call it food. It's just poison. And so I tell kids, I could look at your physique and I could see steak and potatoes, or I could see SpaghettiOs. I could see if you buy the school lunch and eat a bunch of processed food like Pop-Tarts and whatever's in a wrapper, or, I make breakfast for my kids every morning. I pack their lunch the night before. When they get home from school, they eat an early dinner. It's usually dinner leftovers. Then sports, this and that. They'll have dinner again, a real dinner. Then at night, it might be another breakfast. It might be a bowl of cereal with whole milk, and they got to drink the milk. My son will sometimes make himself a protein shake where we do water, 2 scoops protein powder, a banana, a spoon of raw honey, and he'll do a spoon of peanut butter. But I tell kids who are skinny, you got to drink milk. I actually, with this younger generation, I told this skinny kid, I was like, dude, for Christmas, ask your parents to buy you the book Super Squats. The next day he gets like a bootleg PDF and he's reading it. So when he comes in, he's always like, Coach, can I do super squats today? I'm like, absolutely. You want to fucking do 20 rep squats every day?
I love it.
Let's go for it. He's squatting, 95 pounds, then it's 105, then it's 135. But those squats, as we said earlier, they would write about this in Flex magazine and in the old Iron Man magazines. Squats had a systemic effect on the body. And if the early 2000s, you would get, there weren't a lot of websites to learn from, and there was no YouTube. So you were reading articles on Elite. Iron Mind had their magazine.
T-Mag came out.
T-Mag was out. And T-Mag, I actually went to a prison for almost over half a day to, interview inmates about training. So I always tell strength coaches today, I'm like, I called out sick from work and went to prison to learn about training. Wow. But you can't even go to a local seminar. I went to fucking prison for the day.
I love it. I think that we're on the same page as far as what kids eat. You're seeing, the packaged foods, there's something going on hormonally where boys are starting to be built like girls. Yeah. They have the hips and the thighs are fat. They literally have, boobs that will have to be removed surgically when they're older. And there's something going on, and the problem is I don't know if it's just being obese, because when you're fat it throws off your testosterone to estrogen. It just does. So maybe it has nothing to do with plastic or whatever people say,
Right.
packaged foods. Maybe it's just the fact that what packaged foods do is they put a lot of calories in a little space. Like you go ahead and try to overeat on fruit. It's
Or
really
steak.
difficult.
Oh,
You can't.
yeah, if you eat chips, you want more chips. But if you eat a steak, eventually you're like, I'm
Yeah.
full.
My
And
jaw hurts.
so it's
Yeah.
all I think it's just sugar, the bad kind of sugar is what these kids eat. Like they'll skip breakfast, they eat school lunch, and then most meals are just carbohydrate loaded.
Yeah.
And it's
Yep.
crazy. Is like I speak to a lot of parents and they're like, man, I wish I had time to make breakfast. And it's like, bro, you're a fucking dad. You're going to wake up 15 minutes early. And there's high school kids that say, I don't know how to make eggs. But as a kid growing up, and also parents working, I was working the stove and a toaster oven and all that shit at age 7. And of
Oh, yeah.
course, once I read bodybuilding magazines and they said, they eat egg whites and oatmeal, I started making egg whites and oatmeal every day. But now there was no intermittent fasting. There was the anabolic diet by
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Morrow.
Yeah, but
Do you
now
remember,
God.
I'm a little older than you, but when I was in high school, American Muscle Magazine was on ESPN. It was a video.
Yep.
It's
Of
fucking
course.
awesome.
Of course. And go ahead.
no, that I literally just had this conversation last night. Kids just A, they don't eat breakfast ever.
Yep.
B, they probably don't even bring their lunch to school. They don't even eat lunch.
Yep.
They probably get under 2,000 calories a day.
Well,
And
if
that's
they, and
what
if
you
they
need
do
to
eat,
survive.
if they do eat, it's McDonald's
Yeah,
or
but it's
Hardee's and kids, you got to fuel it. Like, good news is, like, my daughter is anal retentive with everything. So she cooks her meals, she packs her meals. She packs her meals more intently than I do when we go places. Like, she's ready.
Nice.
My kids always have food and snacks with them. Like, we always tell them, like, you're in charge of your snacks. If you say you're hungry, we ain't stopping. So our kids know that they have to get it in, especially like, my one son, he's an undersized kid. Well, he's at his weight cap now for wrestling, but with him, it's like eat, and here's what you're gonna eat. Here's what you're gonna do, and fill in your calories as you want. But here's the basics of what you need. You get this much protein, and I think a lot of parents just don't know. So they don't know what guidance to give, and just look at a family shopping at the grocery store. In most communities, it's different when you get affluent. Affluent people usually buy better food, but you go to like most communities, go into a grocery store and it's 90. You might see a couple treats here and there, and the rest of it's perimeter of the store, meaning meat.
It's so
veggies,
easy
fruit.
to just shop the perimeter. But you're right. I say this all the time. People think I'm crazy unless these parents were competitive athletes in high school. Not even successful, but you competed. You were coached hard. A coach told you got to train. So that stuff makes sense for me. And also, it's so affordable. You could go into the fruit and veggie. You get a bag of potatoes for $6. That could last a week.
Eating healthy is cheap. I don't even look. I don't budget. I'm at the point in life where I'm good, right? Like, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, when I go to the store, I'm not like, okay, honey, we only have $120. I'm like, oh, cool. We want beef or whatever. Like, we don't have to. But if I was to put what I eat, and I eat a lot of food, I'm a pro bodybuilder, right? What I eat up against most people spend more at Wendy's every day than I do for all my meals for the day. People don't understand. You go to Wendy's, it's $10. You're not getting out of Wendy's for less than $10.
Fast food's expensive now. When I was in high school, you could go to McDonald's and get 3 burgers and a drink for like $6 or
99-cent Big Macs, bro. I used to live on those.
Right. And you know what? A high school athlete should be able to eat that stuff once a week. But like you guys said, they've been eating it since they were kids over and over. And now they have zero health. Let me ask you a question, Mark, because you're in Tennessee. Where are you picking up your food? Do you go to like a butcher or I go to a guy in Pennsylvania who's a Mennonite farmer. So it's really cool.
So I get a lot of my meat. I'm sponsored by a company called Piedmontese. Those are the steroid cows.
It's
The
so
myostatin cows.
good.
So it's Piedmontese.com.
I
Coupon
heard
code
they're awesome.
Lobliner is 25% off.
Yes.
Marc Bell actually is all. That's what he turned me
Right.
on to them, or he introduced us.
Yep.
Actually his brother Chris. So Piedmontese. I eat a lot of. I'll go to Costco and buy the bison. Bison is controlled by the USDA, so it's only going to be grain finished. So it's grass fed up until like the last month.
Okay.
So it's good bison. It's leaner. In the off season, I like to have fattier cuts of meat because fat's necessary.
Yeah.
A lot of eggs. We get the heritage eggs, the free range eggs. There's a huge difference in the fatty acid profile. If you can afford it, if you can't afford it, then get regular eggs. It's not that big of a deal.
Right. Right.
So I think that, for me, it's a matter of so the problem is there are farms around here. It's just far, and I'm at a time crunch. So if I'm not ordering from Piedmontese, I'm definitely filling in the gaps with Costco.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I get it. But my thing is, whether you're buying your meat from a butcher, from Kroger, it's still better than getting packaged meat. Now, I'm not talking about tuna. Tuna's fine. It's sodium for athletes is a good thing, but the fact of the matter is I see kids, and I'm watching one of the kids I used to coach at wrestling, and he's filming the football. But first thing he does, he breaks out a bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. That was my guy. I'm like, I didn't say a word. I'm like, I thought I taught you better.
Yeah. I tell kids, get a thing of trail mix from Costco, put trail mix in a Ziploc. So when I train,
I have so much trail mix here for my kid.
yeah, when I train athletes after school at my high school, I tell them you need to eat another sandwich. Otherwise, lunch is at 10:30. By the time you're done with practice and sit and eat dinner, it might be 6:30. So our best athletes, they also do these like little extra workouts during their lunch. So they'll be doing what do you call it? It's like a 20-minute lift, but you'll see kids squatting, farmer walks, cleans, barbell row, and they're like, I'm going for 4 sandwiches today. Like I had this for breakfast. I ate a sandwich before the lift. I'm going to eat a sandwich after the lift. I have another one before football. So now we're always like #2 sandwiches. And if somebody's skinny, I'm like, get on the sandwich system. And we say turkey, ham and cheese, turkey and cheese, peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter jelly. That is the gaining. That I had my son.
Chocolate milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
Thomas eating 12 a day.
That and eating cartons of ice cream.
Yeah, well, the kid eats. Yeah, for him, it's like, okay, you got all your protein. Hey, you want ice cream? Go ahead. Like eat.
My kids too, because they're active and they've eaten healthy throughout the day.
This kid's playing. He's wrestling and playing soccer, so he'll go from wrestling to soccer. I'm like, dude, you have no glycogen left in your body. Go eat something. Like wrestling in and of itself will kill you. Any combat sport is insane. And then he'll go straight from there and go to soccer. I'm like, well, I know I couldn't do that. Eat some ice cream. So yeah, and my other son is doing football and soccer. And so one day he might have a game in both. So now what we did learn is that a soccer game after football is going to be bad. It's that he's not going to play well, dude. I mean, after running in equipment, it was like 90 degrees out.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just take him out. He's embarrassing everybody. Pull him out of the game. Stop. Yeah, it's
a lot. But those kids could eat the ice cream. But the kids who don't have muscle, who've got that busted up metabolism from eating the Wendy's, like you said all the time, they're screwed. And I don't know. I mean, they need quite an intervention to reverse what's happening to their body. As a teenager, like I said, you should be muscular. I don't know any other way to say it. So I'm pretty aggressive with our kids about constantly hammering home how to eat. And you mentioned the sandwiches and all that stuff. There's stories. I mean, it might be folklore of Dr. Ken Leisner. When his adopted son would go to school, he'd send him to school with like 10 tuna sandwiches.
Wow.
And his son's name, adopted son, Kevin Tolbert. There's some amazing photos. If you just Google image Kevin Tolbert, he'd say, the rule is you can't come home with them and you can't give them away. And so you have to eat like this. And Dr. Ken would train his kids with the high intensity method. So that one all out set, which I'm not really a fan of for
No.
sports performance,
No,
but
no.
his guys got jacked from it. And in the late 90s and even up to the early 2000s, Penn State was still doing HIIT training. And my buddy John, when he was at, I think he said, I don't know if he did it when he was with the Eagles or when he did it when he was at Cal Berkeley, but wherever I think it was a pro team, they had him doing a circuit on the hammer strength machines. And hammer strength is Gary Jones, his dad, Arthur Jones, was Nautilus. So I think some elements of machines are good, but you got to get on those free weights. And here's how I recommend to eat. Eat like you live on a farm. But if you're eating that way, you have to train, in that manner that is going to utilize that food. So my son, like this morning was 2 scrambled eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, toast and butter. I make the lunch the night before, turkey sandwich, slice of cheese. I made bacon, so he had bacon on there, a granola bar, a banana. I can't remember, some sort of like oatmeal muffin. He's going to come home. We have burgers, so he'll have dinner leftovers. Then he's going to probably ride his bike to my gym, or unless he has basketball or baseball. And then he'll eat again. So he'll probably get 4 meals today, and he'll drink milk throughout the day. And he weighs 160 something, which when I was a senior in high school, I wrestled 160. So it's like I did it all wrong.
Thomas has a famous tweet about him where his teacher got mad that he was eating in class, and his response was, "It's bulking season."
Yeah.
And it was the email she sent me was so cute. It was so funny. And I'm like, so my son is technically undersized.
Yeah.
So for us, it's a good, he's actually perfect for his, for wrestling.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, okay. So, hey, doctor says he has to eat. So it's caused a lot of issues, but my son he literally has containers of chicken and rice.
Yeah.
He's eating like a bro. And then I own a company called the Outright Bar. So our kids, our youngest, our 9-year-old eat like 6 of those a day. That's 1,800 calories in bars.
A protein bar.
Yeah.
I know you have your own supplement company. So I apologize for
nutrition, tigerfitness.com, Outright Bar, Ambrosia. I do a lot of weird things.
You've got ADD of the business, but I like it. You're killing all of it.
Well, I was in Ambrosia's in LA. So that's where I was with. And then of course we did the event at Iron Addicts. Then Tiger Fitness and MTS and Outright are in Ohio. So I'll probably be there tomorrow. So I get around, and then I'm here, and we got our
I drove through Tennessee to go to Georgia last summer. So can you drive, what's Tennessee to Ohio? Is it a flight? Or
it's 5 hours. So I'll fly. I have 5-hour trips. So I either drive to Ohio for 5 hours each way, or I fly to California. So either way, my wife is mad. So I'm just like, dude, but we were fortunate where one of our companies, so we sold majority of it, which is great because our partners are amazing people, but it actually increased the workload because now I have a board and everything. So now I'm always flying to the West Coast. And so I mean, at the end of the day, why do we work? We're talking about a why. Why do we work? It's to provide for our family. So yeah, I'm here. I miss as little as possible. I'm at all the important games. I schedule on my daughter's junior season of high school in soccer. So, it's one of those where, and I coach my own kids. Yeah. So you try to do everything, and it's, but number one goal of me as a father is to provide. So I take that job seriously. And the problem with being someone,
work.
Yeah. The problem with being someone who has a provider mindset is sometimes you get so caught up in providing financially that you forget about providing in the other ways, emotionally and spiritually. And so that's where I've struggled.
Cause you're always switched on. And look, I've done that. I like that you're, transparent about it. I also like to be transparent about those things because people might watch you or watch us and think it's so easy and happy-go-lucky. And so what you got to do is, really, my wife's the best at this. She locks down these family vacations. Yep. And this weekend we'll be in Maryland for baseball. It might rain. And she's like, maybe you just stay for one day. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if it's raining. To me, the time together is awesome. Bingo. And so I will, shut down the gym if somebody can't run it, cover it. We're never really in that situation, but I'm always ready. It's like family first, or we go to, we have like a fractional ownership up in upstate New York on a lake. And when we go there, that's our, our time.
Yep.
And, you were mentioning the food thing too. It's interesting when my daughter, plays all this tennis. She was hungry during the day, and they weren't getting a snack after like second grade. So she was like so scared to eat. So my wife, of course, gets a note from the doctor, and my daughter's, eating,
Yeah.
during class. And so I think anybody who's a teacher, if a kid is hungry, let the fucking kid eat. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
It's not communism.
Not well. I mean, it depends. If you're in New Jersey, it is. We're in Tennessee. So in Tennessee, all of our schools are sports centric. So a lot of the coaches, a lot of the teachers are also like Thomas. He got in trouble with the teacher who wasn't a coach, but they're all very. If you need to eat, you eat. Like they're. I don't think there's been one class where I've been able to break it open. A lot of kids just break open like Thomas breaks out like a like your bodybuilding.
Yes.
And then, but most of the teachers, like, there's not many pro bodybuilders running around. So, like, most teachers know they're my kids. And they're like, this fucking Lobliner's kid again, eating his fucking chicken and rice.
Yeah. Let